am curious. How did you become a psychic? What a question.
I know. That is a very long journey to get there. But I feel like it is my sensitivity that kind of morphed and deepened like within me. I feel like that's kind of like at its core what happened. So I felt like it was quite a few years, or yeah, I think it's like more my whole life. I feel like it slowly and little by little, it just kept sort of opening up. And then I kind of started to understand it as well, because I think it's kind of like this level of consciousness and kind of what took me there. Like I started to meditate like, I think it's like more than 15 years ago.
Wow.
So I started my journey with like just doing like mindfulness, and I was really into mindfulness and just meditating. First it was on and off, you know, when people start meditating, it's like, oh, I want to do this. Yeah. I want to do this. And then when you kind of get sidetracked and you feel like you don't want to do it every day, and then you're like, I just don't have the time. That's commonly what happens. But usually actually in life, and what I realized, it was when things were a bit rocky, or you started to get something like in your life that was a bit overwhelming, then you didn't meditate as much. And I feel like that's the moments when you actually need to meditate even more.
When the chaos is happening.
Yeah. And that sometimes it can be like pushed aside, and I feel like I've done all the sort of rabbit holes when it comes to meditating. But like, but I feel like that's where my journey sort of deepened. But also I feel like it's my sensitivity that's...
Yeah, you said the word sensitivity.
Yeah.
So I'm curious onto like on that kind of aspect of it.
Yeah. So I've always been sensitive, and I've always been this person who's very highly attuned to what's going on and other people's energy, and it can be places as well. So I'm like very tuned to what's going on, especially, and I feel like I didn't really understand what was happening when I was younger, you know, when I realized this, that I can feel the emotions of someone. Even though they're not telling me or wording it, and that would be very confusing, because I would feel like grief or sadness or heaviness, and they would be like, oh, I'm fine, and then I'm like,
no, you're really not.
It doesn't feel like you're fine. But yeah, so I feel like that in time I kind of turned it into what I call like superpower almost, because I feel like for years I was just like blocking bad energies, and I was like trying to ground myself, because I would go to like places and feel very drained and overwhelmed. Obviously I wasn't really good at keeping my boundary work, for sure.
We just didn't know what boundaries were.
Yeah,
no,
for sure. You didn't know it. And I feel like I was morphing into people as well, and it was, I wasn't really understanding, I wasn't anchored, you know, within myself and in my sensitivity as well. But I feel like in time, I like to use the word harness. So I feel like now, like the sensitivity, it's my gift. And now I use it, what you asked, the first question, I use it to tune into energies and tune into myself that I can do. I feel like it's this gift of being really sensitive that I can,
supports
it supports it. It's like this beautiful gift that I can actually use it, I don't want to use the word use, but harness. And use it for me, rather than always be like, oh, I'm just so sensitive and trying to fit into surroundings that are not good for me.
Yeah, you know? I like what you said, it's a gift. And so I remember commenting on, like, you know, the superpowers, sensitivity, anxiety, ADHD, it's all a gift.
Yeah.
And I remember commented on this post and just putting anxiety is a gift. And oh my God, I got trolled. The comments of like, anxiety is not a gift, anxiety is the worst thing ever, being sensitive is not fun, like how can you just be so happy with ADHD? And I was just like, maybe I would have understood or felt a little bit of that previously, but I can so understand it, and literally how you said anxiety is a gift, and that's why I have the School of Sensuality in my channel and everything that I do, to really bring such a different angle to what's there in the mainstream of, like, you know, you need your anxiety medication, or if you're highly sensitive, then just don't go out. If you're social anxiety, then don't go and do that. But that's actually like blocking yourself. That's blocking parts of us that instead, like, just like you said, like, if like, oh my God, I'm too sensitive, I don't want to do this thing. Instead of like listening to that, it's like, okay, well, what actually is going on right now? It's not just because maybe there's a lot of people around, but what actually is this? What is the anxiety telling me, or what is the sensitivity telling me? And I remember, like, it was years ago, but I remember Googling, I was like, traits of a highly sensitive person.
Yeah, I've done that.
And I was like, yeah, this is me. I'm highly sensitive. I'm empathetic. I can pick up people's energies. Like, I feel this stuff. And I was just like, okay, well, that's what it is. And I was like, I've got a new label now.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, yeah, I've got this label, but what's it actually serving me with? What's it actually doing? And I didn't even know, I guess, the depth of like of what you've explained of how being sensitive or being hypersensitive is actually a superpower, and it relates into how we can use it. So I guess that maybe there's listeners out there or watchers, and they're like, yeah, oh my God, I'm so highly sensitive too. How can you suggest that they, instead of running away from their sensitivity, how could you suggest that they can use this in a powerful way than being like, oh my God, I'm too sensitive, I'm not going to do that?
Yeah.
How could you like maybe support someone or on that process?
Yeah, that's really good what you're saying there, because, and I feel everything, we can never know what's going on in someone else's life. And if you say anxiety is a gift, you're viewing it from your perspective. And I totally understand it in a way, because it is always when we feel something, we get an emotion, a feeling or something, it's our body's way of communicating with us. It is not like nonsense, because we're so used to being in this environment that we're just running around and it's so hectic. And for sensitive people, the amount of distractions and stuff going on, it's so much.
Yeah.
And I guess sensitive people, they really are affected by that even more. Because we're so sensitive, obviously, then we're a bit more like, oh God, we get overwhelmed. And it makes sense, because it's like our nervous system, it's our, you know, everything. So I think like it all starts from from the inside. So you kind of need to tune into, and it could be years. I felt like it was years and years until I'm in a place where I actually am like, okay, I view it as a gift.
Yeah.
So I feel like the road or the
That's
journey.
That's really true. Thank you for mentioning that. Yeah.
And I think the road and the journey, what I want to always, when I work with clients, is to say that it's a journey and it's paved with ups and downs. So you don't have to say like, okay, I'm okay with it, I'm like this, and it's almost like putting stuff on top of it, like this fake positivity, if you're not feeling good underneath it.
Yeah.
So it's being authentic with it. And what does it mean to you? And also the sensitivity, like, I feel like for years I was just putting myself into places that weren't good for me. And that's
Guilty.
Okay. Yeah, it's like, it wasn't good for me. And I was like trying to change myself to fit into that surrounding. I was like really good at kind of morphing into like and adjusting myself, changing myself, and losing myself in the process.
It's such a good one of how common or how easy it is for us to notice these feelings and emotions, but to ignore them.
Yeah.
Or to not listen to our body and to come into spaces of like, well, this is just who I am, because it is a reality. Like when we're in it, we don't realize. And I really like how you said, you know, it can take years, because if I look back then, you know, I had this anxiety and I was a CrossFit athlete, and it was just like, it was just part of it. It was just like, okay, we just need to deal with this. And it did get better. But when I was in it, it was the worst thing ever. I was doing a bloody CrossFit competition. I'm just having this panic attack on the floor because this anxiety and stuff was coming up. But I knew it wasn't because I was scared of the competition or I couldn't lift the weights. I was very, very capable. But it was just my body's way of communicating with me. I think it got to a point and I was like, this is enough, you know, like, not on that physical level, but it was like a surge of energy or surge of feelings that was coming through me that wasn't being used in the right way. So I was using all this energy into my CrossFit, you know, going through the stages of navigating the ADHD and all the energy and burning energy and hyperfocus and all like that. CrossFit was amazing for me. It was very structured, it was very routine based, and it let out my energy. But it came to a point, I was like, the feelings, I was like, there's something else.
And maybe you needed that, you know, at that point.
It was perfect.
Because we all change and we all need things in our lives at some point. So there's no point in saying, looking back and be like, oh, that was stupid, or that's being really hard on ourselves. Because everything kind of, I feel like everything prepares us.
100%.
Everything prepares us, you know, when you kind of look at it from a place of like wanting good things for you as well. But I feel like it's, you know, going to that place of like, because we all have this beautiful gift, every one of us, no matter what you're doing right now, we have a beautiful gift. And that sensitivity, like even me being a psychic, or sometimes I don't want to even label myself as psychic, but I feel like I sometimes want to talk more about like sixth sense or intuitive process.
I like that.
Just to make it more, because sometimes, you know, when you talk about being a psychic and you get these visions of these, and I have like this fortune teller, and I'm like, because I don't feel like I want to even, that's not how, you know, how I approach it, you know. But I feel like we all have this beautiful gift within us, and we're always getting those little clues of like, if the environment is like, I used to work in fashion in London, you know, and it was, my body was like trying to like, no, this is not for you, you know, in the end. And I didn't really realize it until like, I'm very stubborn, I feel like, because my body or my mind would go into a total like shutdown. So I would have like, at the time I would call them breakdowns. Now I'm so like, I always call them breakthroughs now, because I realized that was my body.
It's teaching us something.
It's teaching us, and your body and your mind will say no. It will do these little nudges. You know, you will get these little, maybe, you know, there's this little maybe feeling, your gut feeling that you have had for years.
My body right now is like really kind of like in an excited state, because I've been through this journey, and it started for over 6 years ago. I'm not too opened into the level where you're with this, I would say the psychic senses, but I definitely, you know, I've got the sixth sense, and I know I've had that. It's like you just said, I had the nudges over time. And what I really noticed, and what I think people can relate to, is I remember one time I was doing CrossFit, and I said to my girlfriend, my ex boyfriend was running a CrossFit competition in his gym, and we'd separated, but I was a great athlete back then, and I knew he wanted, you know, good athletes to kind of bring up the energy in the space. And so I remember saying to my girlfriend, I was like, I'm going to call him Bob. Bob said, I know Bob is going to ask me to come and do the CrossFit competition. And I said that I just knew it. I just had this feeling, and I said that to my girlfriend. And like 2 or 3 days later, Katie, can you come with your friend to do the CrossFit competition? And I was like, I told you. I was like, I knew this was going to happen, right? And that was kind of like one of the things, and it was often with this friend that was having a lot of these things, and I would say something, it would happen. And I was just like, I didn't understand it back then. And obviously as I've gone along, I'm like, okay, this is actually like a superpower, like you said. But it's still, it took me time to harness that and to understand it, and not be like, just because I say I want the thing, it's going to come. Not it's like, oh yeah, I just want $1 million in my bank account. It's not just going to arrive like that. It's like really understanding if we're in alignment and if we're on our path in staying true to who we are, then things will come. And I guess it's just more over I've gone within this process of like saying things and just knowing that it's going to happen. Like it gets pretty cool. I had another time I was on the plane coming from Singapore to Thailand, and I was sitting next to this guy. Anyway, long story short, we were having a bit of a conversation, and he was moving his car across the world. And he said, he told me, I was like, oh, what's your car? It must be an important car if you're moving it from one side of the world to the other.
Yeah.
And he told me the name of his car. And then in my mind, I just had this image of an orange car. He didn't tell me the color. And I said to him, I was like, oh, so what color is it?
Yeah.
And he said, orange. And I was like, whoa, like I've got this sixth sense. I've got these psychic abilities, but I'm still on that path of like harnessing them, of just using them. And like you said, when I have the time and space in my life, I like to meditate a lot, come back to meditation to actually allow my body to feel these superpowers and to feel these, these witchy energies that I call them. And plus, I was born on Halloween, so obviously it matches up, right, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And so allowing allowing time and space for this to happen, because I know previously, like if I go through my life and I've got so many distractions, or if I'm busy from the moment I wake up until the evening, that there's not much time for me to actually like, okay, play with this energy, or to like understand it, or to learn more about it. And when I give myself that, I'm like, okay, these psychic abilities are coming through, and it's pretty cool in the way like you can see things. But I guess coming on to that, it's like obviously we all have different abilities and we're all at different levels, and I am not in a space, I'm not right now on this life in this podcast a psychic. Maybe in a couple of years, guys, come and check back in, to be able to, I guess, like working with people on the level of a psychic. I do work with energy with my clients, so I read energy from my clients, I pick up the energy, and I sometimes know more than my clients, but that's how so I'm probably saying that I do have this, I am a psychic, but I just use it in a different, I have my way of working with it with women in the body. How do you, let's say, so a client comes to see you because they want to see a psychic, they're coming, what's the biggest thing you get clients ask you for, or people would come to see you for? I can't say I've ever been to a psychic, so
you should.
Yeah, I know. Maybe it's good. This turn into like part of a psychic reading right now.
Oh,
like,
I have my tarot cards with me.
What are the often things that people come to see you for?
First off, I want to just talk what you just mentioned quite beautifully.
Please,
this sense that you've had for years, and kind of how you use it is, harness, how you harness that beautiful energy. So I just want to kind of explain it, because I feel like that's one of my things as well, to talk about this in a way that makes sense for all of us. So we all have 5 senses, which is amazing. But actually, I think I read that we only sense 4% of this environment that we're here right now with our 5 senses. 4%. Wow. And it's been proven that, what you talked about, energies and stuff, there is energy. We are energy. The food we eat is energy. Everything around us is energy, but we just don't tune into that energy so well. And this is what I talk about, the sensitivity. It is maybe easier to kind of drop into that space. How I feel like it's almost like this level of consciousness that I kind of tune into, and I can read the energies here that is not necessarily so visible with our 5 senses. Yes. So I just want to say that's when I talk about the 6th sense, and it's within all of us.
It's like a feeling.
It is kind of like that sensitive or something, but I feel like the word 6th sense is quite good. How I view it. Yeah. And within time, it's just become dormant, so we don't use it as much. We don't use it in this culture. So I feel like that's just like what you experienced. That's a beautiful way of that beautiful ancient knowledge in your body coming through. So this is just how I see it. And everyone, we all have this. We just need to find a way to connect and tune in. So that's how I work with, you know, my clients. But what you asked is, I feel like because what I do this profession because I feel like it's my calling. I didn't decide one day that, you know, I'm going to become this psychic or, you know, whatever I am doing right now. But I feel like people want to hear. I feel like the way I work is I always come from my heart space. And that's the message, and I want to be there because I've gone through really hard things in my life, like really hard stuff, and I've been close to losing my life a couple of times. And like within my journey, I've had so many beautiful coaches, therapists, and psychics who've helped me to come to this place where I am right now. So I feel like it's I feel like I just need to kind of do this. There's that urge. We all have that urge of like wanting to do things, and I want to be there for others in the way that people have been for me. But I feel like people come for they want validation. Sometimes I feel like that's one of the main things. They want, maybe there's already a feeling of something within them that they're like there's something, and it will come to the surface maybe. You know, I never know. So I will be there, whatever the client, you know, is going through in that moment in the possible way I can be. And I feel like the messages are what life wants you to hear right now.
Yes.
So that's whatever is going on. And I feel like quite a few people are in transitioning or they have something, you know, maybe like they're at crossroads or something going on in their lives.
Okay,
and they want maybe validation to something, to be more seen and heard, or they want to talk about this topic of whatever is going through in their lives, and they want they want more direction in their lives, where to go. And I feel like, that's one of the things. I don't get like specifically just main questions. And some psychics, I'm sure, when they do more maybe that fortune telling. So I feel like always
fortune telling with a mystic
it's
ball,
like that beautiful, you know, and I do love that as well. But like I feel like because I'm a life coach as well, so I call myself more like an intuitive coach. So I will not give you the fish. I will teach you or guide you here how to fish that fish for yourself.
Beautiful.
So that's, I feel like, because that's more powerful, that transformation. So it's more powerful for you to tap into the knowledge that is within you already. So I feel like at some point I realized as well, when I was studying to be a life coach, that I'm a mirror. I'm holding space here, but I am mirroring the beautiful light within you that is already there. I'm not fixing, I'm not doing myself anything. And this is what life wants us all to know. That we are love, and there's so much beauty in all of us, in all of you. There's so much beauty, and I want to remind you of that as well.
So beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. Like, that was really, really, it's like music to my ears. It was really beautiful. And I feel like I like how you said, you know, you also work in the space of like life coaching, intuition. And it was your calling. The same for me. Like, I didn't know 4 years ago that I was going to be a sex coach. You know, like I was a kindergarten teacher, but I had this calling, this vision of me standing on stage being a sex coach. And that's how my journey started. The next day I signed up to a sex coaching school, and I learned what I didn't realize was how much I was going to learn about myself and awaken my own sexuality, because I was very vanilla before all that. Awaken all that within me, and through that process, all my energy, the sensuality and the pleasure and the intuition has been activated. And I just use it in a space with couples. So I work with couples or women as well, picking up that they'll come to me as like, Katie, we don't have sex in our relationship, and it's not about, okay, well, look, just get into the bedroom, get the lube out and get in. That it's not about that. It's really about listening to your body and undoing what's holding you back from that enjoyable relationship.
Yeah.
And the power that I use within that is with, I guess, the energy and what I'm feeling from the client. And I do this over Zoom as well.
Yeah.
Also, the girls inside my school of sensuality, whether that's, you know, around sexual trauma or what they've got, like past experiences or not being connected to their bodies, this just naturally comes through. So I feel like it's like you said, we all have this ability within us. We just, the majority of the world just don't know it. Yeah. And we are now in this space where we've used it. And look, I've been on this journey for 6 years, but it's only really been like the past, since I spent a year healing in the jungle. Really, I had a whole year of just living in a jungle, of healing and dancing. And so obviously I had the time and space to do all of this. And that's when it became really fast tracked. Not everyone has a year to heal in the Thai jungle, which is why we put these podcasts and information out there so you can like tap into this a little bit sooner and quicker for yourselves. Or just maybe what you've taken away out of this is like, okay, I'm going to meditate more. I'm going to listen to my body. I'm going to listen to my hypersensitivity. Maybe you notice that you're not having sex in your relationships and you need me, or, you know, maybe you're like, okay, you're at a crossroads in life and this is when you can reach out as well. Like
we all need that support at times.
We can't do it all by ourselves.
No.
We can't do it all by ourselves. And it's beautiful. Thank you so much for dropping in your wisdom. And it was really interesting to the flow of conversation. And the past couple of podcasts I've done have actually been a lot more intuitive and a lot more on the natural healing scale of things. So I have a feeling that this podcast is going to be transformed a little bit more into that. Let me know in the comments what you guys want to see. Do you want more of this type of content? Are you thinking Cadence is way too woo-woo? Like, you know, let me know. And also, are you understanding the terminology and the words that we're using? Or is it a bit like, what are you on about? And just put that in the comments. And obviously, no, I want to be here, or we want to be, everyone that I bring on the podcast, I want you to be able to be in an understanding, acknowledgeable way for you. So if you do have any feedback or any questions, just pop them in the comments below.
And thank you for all the work that you do. That's
thank you.
Amazing. And to all of you as well.
Yeah, thank you.
But I just want to circle back just quickly to it always just starts in tuning, even a little bit, like how are you feeling, you know? I think it all just comes down to that, and having a connection with your body, as you do as well. What you said, people are quite like, and I've been so blocked for years within my body as well.
Women
tuning,
don't know how to feel.
How to just, and even like baby steps. You don't have to like be like, okay, this week I am changing everything. Just
and
baby steps. Yeah. So baby steps and tuning, like, what does it really feel good to me, like within my heart space, or like in my body, like does this really, like, you know? So it's those, I think within me as well, it's all about listening and tuning in. And sometimes you feel like, oh, I'm not listening at all. Okay, you know,
we just don't know what listening is.
Yeah, just a little by little. So it's not like,
I'm just going to add on to that when we say, you know, tune in to your body, listen to your body, what does that actually mean?
Yeah.
And I'm just going to use an example of listening to your body is sitting in silence, or just putting a little bit of music on, or sitting, you know, in your car after work, or on the way on your lunch break, and just sitting there, closing down your eyes and just taking 10 long deep breaths, really in and out of your stomach. And just notice what you're feeling. And you're probably like, Katie, I've done my 10 breaths, but I don't feel anything. And I get it. Look, I teach this inside my school of sensuality. The first time, the second time, the third time. Remember, the 10th time, you're not going to feel or notice anything. And maybe it's that 11th time that you're really going to feel. Like, how many times have you been going to the gym to get into a space where you've built muscle, or you've lifted 100 kilos? This is exactly the same. Yeah. We just need to be building the reps and listening to your body, of just using your deep breathing. And then after that, gradually be like, oh, I actually just enjoy a little bit of calmness. I'm not like in a chaotic state of mind. Yeah. And I can just be in that calmness. That's what really, like, listening to your body
and it's kind of like tuning in, as you said. It's kind of taking your brain or your mind, because sometimes we're just so hyperactive in our minds. And that's what I talk about the body as well, because sometimes even bringing your focus to your body, it's different, because sometimes we're so caught up in here. We have thoughts and we're just like, you know, even like noticing and bringing your attention, like, oh, what does it feel like in my tummy right now? Is it tense? Or do I have tense, or, you know, does it feel very, you know, good or light, or, so whatever. So tuning in. And I like to use this metaphor sometimes, just like when you wake up in the morning and you kind of look out the first thing you look outside and see what the weather is like. So it's kind of with that curiosity, you know, so it doesn't have to be, you know, what you said in the beginning. It doesn't have to be a long, you know, now you're meditating for 30 minutes in this lotus position. And, you know, sometimes we put that pressure on ourselves.
Yeah, so try and perform or show up.
But just even this, like just checking in, especially if we had, you know, like a conflict or, you know, whatever is going through, to check in. Just like, okay, just a few moments, like how does it feel in my body? Like, is my body trying to tell me something? Do I need to just go to the bathroom and, you know, do this breathing exercise, or just doing it, you know, slowly. And I feel like, yeah, obviously these podcasts and, you know, like there's so much information out there as well, you know, not to be too hard on ourselves. You know,
because we all do it. Like, I mean, you do it, I do it. We all, like, it's a part of the natural human evolution. But we just want to just chill out a little bit. Just
chill out with it as well. So you don't have to be perfect. I guess, like, I've been, you know, trying to be very perfect with, you know, this kind of, at some point I was like, okay, I have this strict this and this and this, you know, routines, and I'm more relaxed and just letting life happen and flow.
Without controlling it
because control is actually an illusion. We rarely can control things, you know, so we kind of want life just, you know, happens. But yeah. And if you guys want to work with me, I have my website, and I'm starting this April, this Sixth Sense Circle, which is like this 3 months.
Probably the best place to be if you're curious and wanting to learn and dive more into this. Probably the best place to be.
Yeah, and I talk about it in a very sort of grounded, you know, in space, and I want to, you know, kind of open it up in a way that everyone understands it, or I don't know if everyone can understand it, but taking it quite, and who really feels like there's a pull or resonance to it. And I'm just building this online course on how to turn your sensitivity into kind of like a superpower, and how to work with it, and to actually kind of learn how to harness that gift, because it is a gift. Because sometimes, you know, we can, again, what I said in the beginning, we can be in situations, or, you know, we're doing a job or something that doesn't really fit our sensitivity. And so how to kind of harness it and make it actually like, okay, wow, this is really, and now I feel like I've come to a place. It's taken me only like 10, 20 years. But yeah, little by little. And I feel like that's the way I've wanted to do it as well, just listening to my body and letting life kind of show, you know, and evolve.
As we go on through.
Patiently.
Patient is a great word.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. Thank you so much. Like, I honestly enjoyed this. I guess it's not something I talk about a lot online. But look, why not? Why not? You know?
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Thank you.